Smoke over silent streets. The sky was gray. Thick smoke rose from the alien village. Burned homes stood like skeletons. The wind blew ash across the broken streets. It was quiet. Too quiet. Jacob, a human survivor, walked carefully through the ruins. His boots crunched on broken glass. He held a metal rod in one hand, ready to fight if needed. His other hand rested on the small blaster strapped to his belt. He didn't come for a fight. He came looking for supplies. But this village, something felt wrong. Not just dead, something else. His ears listened for movement. But all he heard was the wind. Then he saw it. Tiny footprints in the dirt. Small, light, not like adult alien feet. They were fresh. He followed them. They led him past a burned transport, past a house with its roof half melted. Then, he heard it. A soft cry. Jacob froze. He crouched behind a broken wall, peeking carefully. The sound came again, a child's whimper. Quiet, weak, but alive. He moved slowly, step by step. Behind a collapsed wooden cart, something moved. Held his breath. A small alien girl, no older than 5, lay curled under the cart. Her skin was pale purple, her eyes large and glowing faintly blue. She was shaking, bleeding from one leg. Her clothes were torn and dirty. When she saw him, she backed away, eyes wide with fear. "Hey," Jacob whispered, putting down his weapon. "I'm not here to hurt you." She didn't answer. She didn't speak at all. She just stared, breathing fast. Then Jacob heard another sound, growling, low and close. He looked up and saw 3 zombie figures stepping out of the nearby alley. Their flesh was rotting, their movement slow but deadly. Alien zombies, once villagers, now monsters. Jacob didn't wait. He reached for the girl. She flinched, but he grabbed her quickly, holding her close and running for cover. The zombies roared and began to chase. He ran through the smoke, dodging rubble, jumping over fallen beams. The girl clung to him, silent tears on her face. He turned into a narrow alley and ducked into an old store. The door was jammed, but he kicked it open. Inside, it was dark, but safe for now. He placed the girl gently on the floor and blocked the door with a metal shelf. The zombies reached the alley, but they couldn't enter. For now. Jacob dropped to the ground, breathing hard. The girl stared at him. "You okay?" he asked, wiping ash from her face. She didn't reply. He took a small water bottle from his pack and offered it. She hesitated, then drank. Jacob smiled a little. "Good, that's good." She didn't smile back. "Where's your family?" he asked softly. No answer. "Are you alone?" Still silent. Jacob leaned back against the wall. This wasn't what he came for. He wanted food, water, maybe a battery for his comlink. Instead, he found a child. A lost, scared alien child in the middle of a dead village, and now she was his responsibility. He looked at her leg again. The wound was bleeding. He took out a clean cloth and wrapped it gently. She winced, but didn't cry out. "You're brave," he whispered. Suddenly, the girl reached for something under her torn jacket. Jacob tensed, but she pulled out a small pendant. It glowed blue. She held it tightly in both hands, her eyes closed. Jacob didn't know what it meant. Maybe it was a tracker. Maybe it was hope. But the way she held it, it looked important. "I'll get you out of here," he promised. Outside, the zombies were still groaning. He would have to move soon, they would break through eventually. He looked down at the girl again. Her eyes were closed now. She had fallen asleep, still clutching the glowing pendant. Jacob didn't know who she was. He didn't know what would come next, but he knew one thing. He had to protect her, no matter what. The sun had not risen in days. Dark clouds covered the sky. The wind howled through the forest as Jacob moved quickly, holding the little alien girl in his arms. Her leg was bleeding again. She had not spoken a word since he found her. She only clutched that glowing blue pendant and stared. Silent. Jacob's hidden camp was deep in the trees, far from the dead village. He built it with metal scraps, camo cloth, and a generator that still worked. It wasn't much, but it was safe. At least for now. He laid the girl on a bed made of blankets. She looked weak, pale. Jacob boiled water and cleaned her wound again. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just watched him with those big glowing eyes. "I wish you'd say something," Jacob said softly, trying to smile. Even a word. Nothing. He gave her warm soup. She didn't eat it first, but slowly. One spoon, then another. She was hungry. Jacob felt a strange pain in his chest. She reminded him of his little sister, years ago back on Earth. Quiet, scared, hurt by war. But this child was even more alone. He tried again. "What's your name?" She looked down. "Can you hear me?" he asked. She nodded, just once. Jacob sighed in relief. "Okay, good. That's good." She clutched the pendant tighter. That pendant, what was it? It glowed even when the camp lights were off. Not just light. It pulsed, alive, like it was calling something or someone. That night, Jacob couldn't sleep. The girl was curled up, near the heater, quiet as always. Jacob stared at the pendant. It glowed softly in the dark. Then, something strange happened. A small hologram flickered from it. Just for a second. It showed a blurry image. An alien woman, tall and strong, holding the girl's hand. Her face was sad, her eyes full of fear. Then the image vanished. Jacob sat up straight. Was that her mother? He looked at the sleeping girl. Her fingers were still wrapped around the pendant. Jacob whispered, "You're not just lost, are you? Someone's looking for you. Someone who loves you." He walked outside, letting the cold air hit his face. But something wasn't right. There were no sounds, no birds, no wind. Then he saw it. Footprints. Fresh. Around the camp. Something had been watching them. He pulled his blaster out fast. Checked, all around. But no movement. Nothing in sight. He returned inside. The girl was awake now, eyes wide with fear. "It's okay," he said. "I'm here." But her eyes didn't look at him. They looked behind him. Jacob turned. A shadow moved outside, the camp wall. Closer. Too fast. He grabbed the girl and held her tight. "Don't be afraid," he whispered. The shadow disappeared. Gone. For now. He held her until she slept again. This time, she didn't let go. The next morning, Jacob tried one more time. He pointed to himself. "Jacob," then he pointed at her. She stared, and after a long pause, she whispered something. Soft, broken. "Rila." Jacob smiled. "Rila, that's your name?" She nodded. Her voice was quiet. But real. Finally. A name. A small bond. That afternoon, Rila drew something in the dirt. A symbol. A map. A warning? Jacob wasn't sure. But one thing was clear. She was trying to speak now. Something had changed. The silence was broken. And danger was getting closer. Night fell like a heavy blanket. Cold wind whispered through the trees. Jacob sat near the fire, sharpening a metal rod. Rila, the little alien girl, slept beside him under a warm blanket. Her pendant glowed faintly, like a heartbeat. Jacob's camp was quiet, too quiet. He stared into the flames, thinking. 3 days had passed since he rescued Rila from the zombie-filled village. She still spoke little, but now he had her name. Rila. And a new worry. Strange things were happening. Each night, just after dark, he heard them. Footsteps. Soft. Slow. Circling the camp. He had set traps, wires, noise alarms, trip spikes, but none were triggered. Still, the sound kept coming. He stood and walked around the camp edge. Silence. He checked the sensors. All green. No movement. Then just as he turned back, snap. A twig broke behind him. Jacob spun, weapon ready. Nothing. Only darkness. He turned on his flashlight and shined it into the trees. The beam flicked across branches, trunks, empty paths. Then he saw it, a symbol, scratched into a tree. Fresh. Alien letters glowing faintly red. Jacob didn't know the language, but he had seen this shape once before. In the village. Painted on a burned wall near the bodies. Warning. Or a mark. He returned to the fire quickly. Rila was awake, staring at the tree line. Her pendant glowed brighter now. She whispered one word. Mother. Jacob knelt down. Your mother? She nodded, eyes wide, fearful, and hopeful. He looked out into the dark. Was her mother out there? Had she been the one walking around the camp, or was it something else? Later that night, Jacob dreamed. A woman's voice, soft, alien, crying, calling for a name. Rila. He woke with a start. The fire was low. Cold air stung his skin. He sat up fast. Rila was gone. The blanket lay empty. Jacob jumped up, grabbing his blaster. Rila! He shouted. No answer. He followed the faint glow, the trail left by her pendant. It pulsed in the dark like a lighted path. He ran through the forest, heart racing, then he saw her, standing still at the edge of the trees. Not alone. A tall alien woman stood before her, pale skin, wounded arm, eyes glowing faint blue, just like Rila's. She was whispering something, but her body swayed, weak, like she could fall any second. Jacob raised his weapon, unsure. Was this really her mother, or a trap? The woman looked up. Their eyes met. She didn't attack. She didn't run. She simply dropped to her knees and collapsed. Rila screamed. Jacob rushed forward and caught the woman before she hit the ground. Her skin was ice cold. She was alive. Barely. He carried her back to camp. Rila didn't speak. She just held her mother's hand the whole way. Back at camp, Jacob laid the woman near the fire. Her body shook. Her breath was shallow. Zombie bites on her back, but not fully turned. Not yet. Jacob worked fast, cleaning wounds, sealing the largest ones with foam. The woman opened her eyes just once. She looked at him and mouthed a single word, human. Then she passed out. Rila looked at Jacob, her eyes full of tears, not fear now, but something else. Trust. She had brought him to her mother, because she believed he would save her. Jacob sat down, heart still racing. So many questions. Why had the woman not turned into a zombie? Why had she been watching the camp? And why? Was Jacob now beginning to feel like this wasn't just about survival anymore? It was about them. The alien woman didn't wake for hours. Her skin was cold. Her breath, shallow. Jacob sat beside her, feeding small drops of water between her dry lips. Rila never left her side. The little girl held her mother's hand tightly, whispering words in her native tongue, soft and broken. Jacob couldn't understand the language, but he understood the feeling. Family. Hope. He checked the bandages. The zombie bites were deep, but they hadn't turned black. No infection signs yet. He had seen others bitten, even humans. They turned fast. Hours, not days. But this woman, she was still fighting it. She was different. Jacob stared at her pendant. The same glow as Rila's, now pulsing faster. Was this pendant protecting them somehow, or was it something more? The fire crackled quietly. Outside, the forest was still. Too still. Jacob didn't sleep. His mind ran in circles. Who was this woman? How had she survived the village? And why had she been following them in silence? Suddenly, the woman moved, her eyes opened slowly. Weak but aware, Jacob leaned forward. "You're safe," he said gently. "Your daughter is here." "Rila." The woman blinked, then turned her head. Her voice came out rough but strong enough. "Rila?" Rila gasped. "Mama." She threw her arms around her mother. The woman held her, shaking. Tears fell freely now, from both of them. Jacob stood back, giving them space. He felt something warm in his chest. Relief. Peace. A kind he hadn't felt in a long time. But the moment didn't last. The woman looked at Jacob. "Heard you." Voice turned urgent, human. "Danger. Coming." Jacob tensed. What kind of danger? She struggled to sit up. Not just undead, not virus. Hunters. They made it. Jacob's eyes narrowed. "Hunters?" The woman nodded. Her words were slow, but clear enough. "Our planet. Attacked. Not accident. Virus was a weapon. Used on our kind first. Now it spreads to others." She touched her bite. "I should be dead. But this..." She held her pendant. "Slows it." Jacob's mind raced. A manufactured virus? Alien weapons? And now it was loose on this planet. The woman pointed toward the west. "They're coming. Those who made the virus. They don't want survivors. Not me. Not Rila. Not you." Jacob stood up fast. He checked his blaster. Then the traps. Then the motion alarms. Nothing yet. But if what she said was true, zombies weren't the real threat anymore. Something worse was coming. He turned back. "What do they want?" The woman looked at Rila. "She is the key. Her blood. Her body fights. The virus. They want her, to kill her, to keep the cure hidden." Jacob looked at Rila. She was just a child, but now she was hope, and that made her a target. Later that night, the woman sat near the fire, wrapped in a thermal blanket. She spoke more now. Her name was Lyre. She was a scientist once, a healer. Her people tried to stop the spread. Most were wiped out. Jacob listened, quiet and tense. He had signed up for a supply run. He ended up in the middle of a war no one knew about. "I don't understand one thing," he said. "Why are you still alive after being bitten?" Lyre looked at her daughter. "Because I am her mother, we share the same blood." Jacob's jaw clenched. A cure in their veins, a secret enemy behind the outbreak, and only 3 souls left in the woods. Lyre placed a hand on his. "You saved her," she said quietly. "Now, you must save us both." Jacob looked at her, and saw the truth in her eyes. She wasn't staying with him because she was weak. She stayed because she had chosen him. The desert stretched for miles. Hot wind blew across endless dunes. The sun above was cruel, beating down on the sand like fire. Jacob walked with heavy steps, his boots sinking in the dry earth. Behind him, Lyre limped slowly, still weak, but healing. Rila sat on his back, arms wrapped around his neck, her head resting on his shoulder. The girl was silent, but her eyes stayed open, always watching. They had left the forest 2 days ago, because the hunters were coming. Because Lyre had whispered one word, sanctuary, and pointed toward the desert. On the 3rd day they reached a broken ruin half buried in the sand. Old alien stone covered in strange carvings, cracked domes and shattered metal. A lab? A temple? Jacob couldn't tell. But whatever it was old and hidden. Lyre placed her hand on the stone. "Door." Her pendant glowed. With a soft click it opened. Cool air blew out. Inside was dark, but safe. They set up camp inside. Rila explored the strange walls. Light followed her steps. The walls pulsed gently, like they were alive. Jacob asked Lyre, What is this place? She answered softly. This is where the virus began, a research site long ago. He looked around. This is the lab? No, she whispered. This is the nest. They moved deeper inside. The walls changed. More machines, cryo chambers, data pads with broken screens. Lyrae found an old terminal, still working. She placed Rila's pendant into a slot. The room lit up. A map appeared, dozens of planets marked red. Earth was one of them. Jacob stared. This was planned? Lyrae nodded. They wanted to weaken all life, make us easier to conquer. And Rila? He asked. She was born immune. They didn't know. But I did. I ran with her before they could take her. She looked at her daughter, her voice shaking. I thought I lost her in the village. But you found her. Suddenly the ground shook. A deep, echoing growl came from below. Rila froze. Jacob raised his weapon. What was that? Lyrae's face went pale. The nest isn't empty. From the shadows ahead, movement. One by one they came. Zombie creatures, but not like before. These were faster, stronger, smarter. Jacob backed away. What are they? Lyrae whispered. The originals, the first infected. She grabbed Rila. Run! They rushed back through the tunnels. Jacob fired at the creatures, hitting two. They fell but didn't die. They crawled after him, snarling. The door was still open. They made it out just in time. The stone slammed shut behind them. The creatures pounded from inside but could not. Breakthrough. They collapsed in the sand, gasping. The sun was setting. Jacob looked at Lyrae. You said this was sanctuary. It was, she said. But the virus evolved. It made them more. Rila held tightly to both of them. Her pendant glowed brighter than ever. Lyrae looked at Jacob. We can't run anymore. We have to fight back. But first, we need to tell your people. Jacob stared at the horizon. He had no ship, no signal, but he had a promise to keep and 2 lives to protect. Night fell fast in the desert. The stars above were cold and sharp, like watching eyes. A soft wind carried sand across the camp. Jacob stood on a high dune, holding a long antenna made from scrap wires and power cells. Behind him, Lyrae watched with tired eyes, her arms still wrapped in cloth. Rila sat beside her, head on her lap. The girl had finally slept. Jacob tapped the small control panel. The screen flickered, then blinked to life. Signal strength, 22%. He cursed under his breath. Not enough. Too weak. But this was his only chance. He had found the antenna in the ruins tech room. Half buried, corroded, but not dead. With some repairs and solar power from his gear, it worked. Almost. He adjusted the angle. The metal groaned. The signal jumped. Signal strength, 68%. A green light blinked. Connection established. Secure channel found. Earth outpost relay. 17. Jacob's heart jumped. He pressed the call button. Static filled the air. Then, this is Outpost Relay 17. Identify. Jacob leaned into the mic. This is Jacob Reeve, Civilian Rescue Unit. I have 2 survivors, non-human, immune to the Undead virus. Repeat, 1 is the source of a possible cure. Silence. Then the voice returned. Repeat last. Did you say cure? Jacob looked at Lyrae. Yes. Alien child. She survived infection. No symptoms. Her DNA fights the virus. Static again, then a new voice, deeper, colder. This is Commander Vex of Colonial Medcom. Hold position. Extraction en route. Jacob narrowed his eyes. Medcom? Why not regular search and rescue? ETA? Jacob asked. 8 hours. Hold position, do not engage. Medcom out. The signal cut. Jacob lowered the mic slowly. Something felt wrong. Hours passed. Rila still slept. Lyrae sat near the fire, whispering something to herself. A prayer? A memory. Jacob didn't rest. He watched the sky, and then lights appeared. Far above. Descending, too fast for a shuttle, too smooth for a supply drop. 3 black ships landed beyond the dunes, silent. No emblems. No flags, just weapons. Jacob stood, blaster in hand. They're early. Lyrae stood too, her pendant glowing again. It's not Medcom, she said. It's them, the ones who made the virus. Jacob didn't wait. Get Rila. Run to the rocks, hide, I'll stall them. Lyrae hesitated. Go! Jacob moved down the dune, blaster ready. 3 figures stepped from the ship, human-like armor, but no faces, just smooth helmets with red eyes. One raised a hand. Jacob, Reeve. Stand. Down. Hand over the alien child. Jacob raised his weapon higher. She's not your experiment. The lead figure stepped closer. The virus must stay contained. If a cure leaks, our plan fails. Jacob's heart pounded. They're just a mother and child, he growled. They're a threat, the voice replied. This is not personal. It is to me, Jacob said, and fired. The desert lit with flashes. Jacob dove behind a rock. Plasma bolts hit the sand around him. He fought hard, but he was outnumbered. Then, a blast hit near his leg. He dropped. Pain shot through him. His blaster flew from his hand. The soldier stepped closer, gun raised, but just before the shot came, a sharp cry echoed from the rocks. Rila. A flash of blue light burst from her pendant. The soldier screamed, his armor smoking, then fell. Jacob gasped. The light faded. Rila stood on the rocks, her eyes glowing, her hand raised. The other soldiers backed away, but it was too late. Lyrae threw a flash grenade. Boom! Smoke exploded. They ran. Later that night, the sky was quiet again. Jacob's leg was burned, but not broken. Lyrae sat beside him, treating the wound. Rila leaned into his chest, silent but calm. Jacob looked at her and whispered, You saved me. Rila looked up. Because you saved me first. Lyrae nodded. She's changing, stronger now. The cure, it's waking inside her. Jacob looked at the stars. They'll come again, he said. Yes, Lyrae replied, but next time, we'll be ready. The final storm was coming. Dark clouds covered the sky again, but this time they weren't natural. Ships moved above the desert, blocking the stars. Lights blinked like hunting eyes. Dust swirled. Heat pressed down. Jacob stood on the edge of a rocky cliff overlooking the camp below. His legs still burned from the last fight, bandaged, bruised. But he stood tall. Behind him, Lyrae and Rila prepared the last pieces of their plan. The enemy would arrive by dawn, and they would not run. This time, inside the cave, Lyrae placed the 2 glowing pendants into a broken console. The old alien device powered on with a hum. The walls lit up with lines of blue light. It's working, she said softly. Jacob stepped beside her. What is it exactly? A purifier, she replied. This cave was part of the original lab, built to cleanse the air, heal infected cells. We can activate it. But it's ancient, Jacob said. Will it still work? Lyrae touched Ryla's shoulder. She is the key. Her blood carries the cure. If the system scans her just once, it can spread the cure across the land. Jacob's eyes narrowed. What's the cost? Lyrae didn't speak, but Jacob saw it in her face. The cure would burn everything infected, even those not fully turned. Even hers before dawn. Jacob and Lyrae stood on the sand side by side. Rila watched from behind the rocks, hidden and protected. The enemy arrived. Dark ships, black suits, red eyes, dozens of them. Jacob gripped his blaster tighter. Lyrae held a small remote, linked to the cure system inside. Last chance to walk away, Jacob said loudly. The lead figure stepped forward. You'll give us the child, or die. Lyrae stepped ahead of Jacob. You tried to erase us, you created death, she lifted the remote. But my daughter carries life. The soldier raised his gun, but Jacob fired first. The desert exploded with light. Blasters. Smoke. Screams. Jacob fought like a storm, dodging, firing, shielding Leray. He was injured, bleeding, but he didn't stop. Leray ran through the chaos. Heading for the top of the rocks where the signal trigger waited, a soldier chased her. Jacob followed. He threw his last grenade and took the hit in return. He collapsed, but the soldier was gone. Leray reached the panel. She inserted the pendant. It flashed red. Too late, a voice shouted. You can't stop it. She turned. The commander aimed at her chest, but before he fired, Rila screamed. A burst of blue light shot from the cave. It hit the sky. It spread like wind. A wave of glowing particles filled the air. The soldiers froze, one by one. They fell. Not dead, but cured. Their armor cracked. Their masks fell. Their bodies turned normal again. The virus was dying, all across the desert. Leray dropped to her knees. The glow faded. The sky was clear. Rila ran to her mama. Jacob limped over, barely standing. You did it, he whispered. Leray smiled, weak but alive. No, she said. We did it. Later that day, Earthships arrived. Real ones. Not hunters. Doctors. Scientists. Helpers. The cure was studied, shared. Rila became a symbol. A child who survived. A child who saved 2 worlds. Leray stayed by Jacob's side. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. Together, they built a new home. Not just for themselves, but for everyone who still believed in life after death, hope after horror, and peace after war.